There's a quiet superpower that moves through every conversation, every meeting, every relationship you've ever had. It's not IQ. It's not technical skill. It's not even charisma. It's social intelligence, the ability to truly read people, navigate complex dynamics, and build connections that last. The world is changing fast. Screens have replaced handshakes, and social feeds often replace face-to-face dialogue. Ironically, we've never been more connected, yet more socially starved. In this digital age, the ability to understand people, to read the room, sense unspoken feelings, and build trust is more valuable than ever. Here's the good news. Social intelligence is not some elusive gift that only the naturally charming possess. It's a skill. It can be learned, practiced, and sharpened. You don't have to become someone you're not. In fact, the most socially intelligent people are often the most authentic. This book isn't about manipulating others or memorizing robotic communication tricks. It's about unlocking your natural ability to connect with people deeply, honestly, and effectively. It's about reading the hidden language that most people miss. We'll explore the fascinating science behind your social brain, learn how empathy works at both a neurological and practical level, and dive into real-world tools to navigate tough conversations, lead with influence, and build meaningful relationships, even with difficult people. Social intelligence is the currency that quietly opens doors. In love, in leadership, in everyday life. Let's master it together. Written and published by Mindful Literary. Introduction to Social Intelligence. The significance of social intelligence in a digital age. In today's interconnected world, social intelligence plays a crucial role in shaping both personal relationships and professional success. Unlike traditional intelligence, which often emphasizes technical skills or academic knowledge, social intelligence focuses on our ability to interpret and respond to social cues, understand emotions, and communicate effectively. As digital platforms become the primary modes of interaction, the way we connect with others has transformed, making these skills even more vital. Mastering social intelligence enables individuals to build trust, foster collaborations, and navigate social networks with confidence, regardless of whether the interaction occurs face-to-face or online. Having refined social skills in a digital environment isn't just about coding good conversation. It involves adapting to new modes of communication while maintaining authenticity. When people interact virtually, cues like facial expressions or tone of voice are less visible, which can lead to misunderstandings or misinterpretations. Recognizing the importance of social intelligence in this context encourages us to develop new tools, such as reading digital body language or managing our emotional responses through reflective practices. As individuals become more adept at these skills, they enhance their chances of success in remote work, virtual negotiations, and online communities, making their personal and professional lives more cohesive and rewarding. Furthermore, social intelligence in a digital age opens doors for leadership and influence in ways traditional methods cannot. Leaders who are skilled at fostering engagement, motivating teams virtually, and addressing concerns with empathy foster loyalty and drive collective success. Similarly, individuals who show genuine empathy online create a sense of belonging and trust, even across distance. Developing this form of social awareness often involves mindful listening, being present during interactions, and continuously refining our understanding of digital cues. By approaching digital communication with awareness and intentionality, we turn technology from a barrier into a bridge that strengthens our connections and broadens our influence. To make the most of social interactions in digital settings, consider focusing on practicing active listening during online conversations. Clarify what others mean instead of jumping to conclusions, and use open-ended questions to deepen understanding. Also, pay attention to subtle cues in written communication, such as tone, punctuation, and timing, which can reveal underlying feelings or concerns. Remember, even in virtual settings, authenticity goes a long way. People respond positively to openness and genuine interest. With consistent effort, cultivating social intelligence in a digital context becomes a powerful tool to elevate your personal relationships and professional endeavors alike. One practical tip is to regularly reflect on your digital interactions. Ask yourself if your communication conveyed empathy and clarity. Tracking these moments can highlight areas for improvement, such as adjusting your tone or being more responsive. Over time, these small adjustments build your confidence and fine-tune your ability to connect meaningfully, transforming digital exchanges into opportunities for authentic human connection. As technology continues to evolve, staying committed to developing your social intelligence ensures you remain adaptable, impactful, and resilient in an increasingly virtual world. Core premise: skills that can be learned and developed. Social intelligence is not just an innate talent some possess and others lack. Rather, it is a collection of skills that anyone can develop with intentional effort. These skills include reading social cues, understanding emotions, practicing active listening, and responding appropriately in various interpersonal situations. Just as one can improve physical fitness through consistent exercise, social skills can be strengthened through deliberate practice. Small, conscious steps, such as paying close attention to others' body language or asking clarifying questions, can significantly enhance social awareness over time. Understanding that social intelligence can be cultivated shifts the focus from fixed ability to growth potential. This means even if someone feels shy, awkward, or lacking in social confidence at first, they can learn strategies to become more adept. It's about creating awareness of your current behaviors, recognizing what works and what doesn't, and then intentionally practicing new approaches. The key is consistency. The more you engage in these learning exercises, the more natural they become, leading to genuine improvements in your social interactions. Developing social skills also involves reflecting on your experiences and seeking feedback from others. For example, after a difficult conversation or negotiation, consider what cues you might have missed or misinterpreted. Did you notice subtle microexpressions that could have revealed underlying emotions? Did your tone or body language align with your intent? By reviewing these moments, you discover areas for growth and adjust your behaviors accordingly. Over time, this process of continuous learning builds a more intuitive and responsive social presence, one that feels authentic and confident. Practicing social intelligence is accessible because it relies on skills that are learnable through reflection, experimentation, and persistence. Strategies like mindfulness, which cultivates awareness of your emotions and reactions, serve as foundations for improving social interactions. Training yourself to pause before responding, notice emotional cues more sharply, and articulate responses with empathy empowers you to handle complex social dynamics better. The more you invest in these techniques, the more they become second nature, transforming social interactions from stressful or awkward moments into opportunities for connection and influence. Ultimately, recognizing social intelligence as a set of learnable skills empowers you to approach personal growth with confidence. No matter your starting point, consistent effort and a willingness to observe and refine your approach can lead to meaningful progress. Small improvements compound over time, enabling you to build authentic relationships, navigate challenging situations, and influence others ethically, all hallmarks of a socially intelligent individual. The journey is ongoing, but the tools are within your reach, waiting to be harnessed through deliberate practice and open-minded reflection. Authentic empathy and nuanced communication. Genuine empathy forms the foundation of meaningful human connections. When we speak of authentic empathy, we refer to the ability to truly understand and share in another person's feelings, not just as a polite gesture, but as a sincere interest in their experience. This kind of empathy builds trust because it demonstrates that you see the other person as a whole, complex individual rather than just an obstacle or a source of information. When others feel genuinely understood, they are more likely to open up, share their true thoughts, and engage honestly, creating deeper bonds that can last through difficult or emotional moments. Beyond simply feeling what others feel, authentic empathy involves actively listening and responding in a way that affirms their experiences. It requires us to let go of assumptions and judgments, giving space for the other person to express themselves authentically. Trust develops when people sense that your empathy is sincere, not superficial or motivated by personal gain. This sincerity encourages openness, which is especially crucial in personal relationships, leadership, negotiations, or conflict resolution. The more you practice authentic empathy, the more natural it becomes to foster an environment of trust, understanding, and genuine connection. Understanding the subtlety of communication is equally important. Words alone rarely fully convey a person's feelings or intentions. Often, what remains unspoken, tone of voice, facial expressions, gestures, or even pauses, tells us far more about their emotional state than their spoken words. Recognizing these microexpressions and subtle cues can help you interpret their true feelings and respond appropriately. This awareness allows you to go beyond surface-level conversation and connect at a deeper level, showing that you truly comprehend their perspective. Fluency in these nuanced communications requires more than just attention. It demands mindfulness. When you pay close attention to bodies and faces, you pick up on signals that might contradict or complement spoken words. For instance, a person might say they're fine but display signs of discomfort through clenched fists, a trembling voice, or avoided eye contact. Responding to these signals with empathy involves asking gentle, non-judgmental questions that invite further sharing or clarification. Over time, honing this skill will help you respond more attentively and thoughtfully, strengthening the trust and rapport you build with others. Practicing authentic empathy and nuanced communication isn't about controlling the conversation, but about cultivating a genuine curiosity about the other person's inner world. It's about creating a safe space where people feel seen and heard, which in turn inspires them to be open and honest. As you become more attuned to subtle cues and your responses are rooted in sincere understanding, your ability to influence and nurture meaningful relationships will grow significantly. Remember, even small gestures of empathy, like a well-timed nod, a reflective statement, or maintaining attentive eye contact, can have a profound impact on fostering trust and connection. Finally, a practical tip to enhance your empathetic communication: practice active listening with full attention. Focus entirely on the speaker, avoid interrupting, and reflect back what you hear to confirm understanding. This not only shows genuine interest, but also helps clarify subtle cues you might have missed. When combined with an awareness of nonverbal signals, active listening transforms your interactions into authentic exchanges, leading to stronger, more resilient relationships built on trust and mutual understanding. The science behind the social brain. Neural regions involved in social processing, prefrontal cortex, amygdala, insula mirror neurons. The human brain contains specialized regions that work together to interpret social cues and manage emotional responses, forming the foundation of social intelligence. Among these, the prefrontal cortex stands out as a critical area responsible for high-level social cognition, decision-making, and understanding social norms. It helps us evaluate situations, consider future consequences, and regulate our responses based on social context. When you're trying to figure out if someone is upset or genuinely happy, the prefrontal cortex helps analyze facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language to make sense of the social signals. The amygdala is another vital brain structure directly linked to processing emotions, especially those related to fear and threat detection. It acts quickly to evaluate the emotional significance of social stimuli, enabling us to respond appropriately in social interactions. For example, if someone looks angry or hostile, the amygdala springs into action, alerting us to potential danger or conflict. This rapid assessment is crucial for survival, but it can also lead to misinterpretations or overreactions if not moderated by higher brain areas like the prefrontal cortex. The insula plays a key role in interoception, that is, sensing and interpreting our internal bodily sensations, and links closely with emotional awareness. It helps us feel empathy by translating observed emotional states into our own bodily sensations. When we see someone else in pain or distress, the insula activates, allowing us to experience a form of visceral empathy. This neural activity fosters emotional resonance, helping us understand others' feelings on a more intuitive level. The insula also supports self-awareness, making it easier to distinguish between our emotions and those of others during social exchanges. Mirror neurons form a fascinating part of the social brain, enabling us to simulate and understand others' actions and emotions through internal mimicry. When you observe someone smile, speak kindly, or exhibit signs of frustration, these neurons activate in a way that mirrors their behavior inside your brain. This mechanism facilitates empathy, allowing us to feel with others and grasp their experiences even without direct communication. Mirror neurons are fundamental for developing social skills such as imitation, learning by observation, and forming bonds in groups. These brain regions don't operate in isolation. Instead, they coordinate seamlessly to produce our social understanding and responses. For instance, when meeting someone new, the prefrontal cortex evaluates context and social norms. The amygdala assesses emotional cues like nervousness or hostility. The insula contributes to feeling empathy, and mirror neurons help us resonate with their actions and emotions. This integrated activity enables us to navigate complex social landscapes with nuance and sensitivity, responding appropriately whether in casual conversations or tense negotiations. Understanding how these neural circuits function provides valuable insights into developing social intelligence skills. By consciously engaging and strengthening these areas, through practices like mindfulness, emotional awareness exercises, and active listening, you can enhance your ability to interpret social cues accurately and respond with genuine empathy. Recognizing and cultivating the neural foundation for social processing can significantly improve your interpersonal effectiveness and deepen your connections with others. Evolutionary roots of social neural systems. The development of social neural mechanisms is deeply linked to our evolutionary history, where survival depended on forming strong bonds and cooperative groups. Early humans, much like other social animals, relied on group living to increase their chances of survival against predators, harsh environments, and scarce resources. Over countless generations, neural circuits that supported behaviors like cooperation, empathy, and social bonding became more sophisticated, shaping the way humans interact today. These neural systems didn't develop overnight, but emerged gradually, driven by the pressures of natural selection that favored individuals who could effectively read social cues, build alliances, and work together for mutual benefit. As a result, our brains evolved to prioritize social connection, making it a fundamental aspect of our psychology and behavior. This evolutionary process resulted in neural mechanisms that underpin our ability to interpret social cues, understand others' emotions, and coordinate actions within groups. Brain regions such as the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, insula, and mirror neuron systems have all been shaped by this history, supporting complex social functions. For example, the prefrontal cortex enables us to plan social interactions and consider others' perspectives, while the amygdala processes emotional responses that guide our reactions to social stimuli. The mirror neurons, discovered in the premotor cortex, allow us to mimic and understand the actions and intentions of others, effectively allowing us to simulate their experiences. These neural features form the biological foundation for much of human social behavior, reinforcing the idea that our capacity to connect and cooperate is deeply embedded in our evolutionary past. Understanding where these systems come from highlights how natural it is for humans to seek connection and establish social bonds. It also explains why social behaviors such as empathy and cooperation feel instinctive, because they are rooted in neural architectures that developed over millions of years for the purpose of group survival. Recognizing the evolutionary origins of these neural systems can help us see social intelligence not just as a learned skill, but as an intrinsic part of our biological makeup. This awareness can motivate us to nurture and refine these capacities consciously, knowing they are essential for thriving both personally and professionally. Practically, fostering an understanding of this background encourages us to pay close attention to how our brains evolved to support social bonds and to harness that knowledge for better interactions in today's interconnected world. By acknowledging these roots, we can also appreciate the importance of social environments in shaping brain development. The more engaged and socially integrated we are, the more we stimulate these neural pathways, reinforcing our social capabilities. Conversely, social isolation can weaken these circuits, leading to difficulties in forming bonds or interpreting social cues later in life. Keeping this in mind, practical steps such as regularly engaging in meaningful conversations, practicing active listening, and being mindful of social cues can strengthen our neural systems. Essentially, understanding the evolutionary origins of our social neural systems encourages us to view social intelligence as a muscle that gained strength over millions of years, something that can be cultivated and enhanced with deliberate effort. How the social brain supports cooperation and survival. The human brain has evolved to prioritize social interactions because our survival depended on working together. Key neural functions enable behaviors such as empathy, trust, and collective problem-solving, which are fundamental for forming lasting relationships and communities. The prefrontal cortex plays a crucial role in decision-making and moral reasoning, helping us interpret social cues and assess the intentions of others. Meanwhile, the amygdala is instrumental in processing emotional responses, especially in determining whether someone poses a threat or an ally. Mirror neurons, another vital component, allow us to imitate and understand others' actions and emotions, fostering a sense of shared experience that underpins cooperation. These neural mechanisms work in concert to help us navigate social landscapes effectively, encouraging behaviors that strengthen group bonds and promote collective success. Understanding how the social brain supports cooperation goes beyond biology. It highlights why humans are naturally inclined to seek connection and work towards shared goals. For example, trust develops when neural circuits associated with reward are activated in response to positive social interactions, reinforcing behaviors that promote cohesion. Empathy, rooted in neural activity within the insula and anterior cingulate cortex, enables us to feel what others are experiencing, which can motivate us to act in ways that reduce others' distress or promote mutual well-being. These neural processes are not just passive responses, but active drivers of cooperation, helping us detect opportunities for collaboration and respond appropriately to social challenges. Recognizing these connections can inspire strategies to strengthen teamwork and community resilience, emphasizing that cooperation is not merely social practice, but deeply rooted in neural wiring designed for survival. Understanding empathy. Multidimensional nature of empathy, emotional and cognitive components. Empathy isn't just about feeling what others feel. It involves two interconnected but distinct processes: emotional empathy and cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy refers to the genuine ability to share or mirror the feelings of another person. When someone shares sad news, emotional empathy allows us to feel a sense of sadness or compassion ourselves, creating a visceral connection that goes beyond words. This shared emotional experience fosters bonds and helps us respond in more compassionate and sensitive ways. It's like an automatic emotional resonance that helps us understand another's pain or joy on a deep, instinctive level. On the other hand, cognitive empathy is about understanding another person's perspective, thoughts, and feelings without necessarily experiencing those emotions ourselves. It requires mental effort to see the world through someone else's eyes, to interpret their behavior, and to grasp their motivations. Imagine talking to a colleague who seems upset but does not overtly express it. Cognitive empathy allows you to recognize their underlying feelings and consider their point of view without emotional absorption. This component is especially crucial in situations where emotional overload might hinder clear judgment or when maintaining objectivity is important, such as in negotiations or conflict resolution. Understanding these two components as separate but complementary helps us grasp how empathy works in daily life. While emotional empathy builds emotional bonds and fosters a sense of shared experience, cognitive empathy allows for clear, thoughtful understanding of others' perspectives, even when feelings aren't fully shared. Recognizing this duality means we can intentionally develop both aspects. For instance, practicing active listening enhances emotional empathy by encouraging us to attune ourselves to others' feelings, while reading books or engaging in perspective-taking exercises sharpens our cognitive empathy skills, enabling us to see the world from different viewpoints. Combining these aspects creates a more complete, nuanced capacity for connection that benefits all types of social interactions. Developing both components enriches our ability to respond appropriately in complex social environments. When emotional empathy is balanced with cognitive empathy, we can offer genuine comfort without becoming overwhelmed or losing objectivity. Whether comforting a friend, resolving a disagreement, or leading a team, this balance allows for authentic expression combined with strategic understanding. Practicing empathy in both senses often involves consciously trying to understand others' feelings and viewpoints, which can be improved through intentional reflection. This multidimensional approach makes empathy a skill that grows stronger with effort, offering a profound advantage in building meaningful relationships and navigating social situations with finesse and authenticity. Neural substrates of empathy, insula, anterior cingulate cortex, mirror neurons. Understanding how the brain supports empathy begins with identifying the key regions involved in experiencing and interpreting the emotions of others. The insula plays a vital role in processing internal emotional states. When we see someone in pain or distress, this region activates, allowing us to feel a similar sensation internally. It acts as a hub for integrating sensory input related to bodily feelings and emotional awareness, making it crucial for emotional empathy, which involves sharing in others' feelings. The anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, is another critical area linked closely with emotional processing and regulation. When we witness someone experiencing suffering, the ACC becomes active, helping us recognize and respond to their distress. It also plays a part in managing our own emotional reactions, balancing empathy with self-awareness. This region essentially helps us feel connected to others' pain without becoming overwhelmed, enabling compassionate responses that are both genuine and sustainable. Mirror neurons are specialized cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. These neurons create a kind of neural mimicry that underlies our ability to understand others' intentions, emotions, and actions. When we see someone smile or frown, mirror neurons activate in a way that simulates what that person is feeling, giving us a direct insight into their emotional state. This system forms a foundational mechanism for cognitive empathy, allowing us to understand perspectives even if we don't share the same feelings fully. These regions do not operate in isolation. Rather, they form interconnected networks that work together to produce empathetic responses. For example, when you see a friend stumble and look distressed, the mirror neurons help you recognize the action and emotion. The insula processes your bodily sensation of empathy, and the ACC helps regulate your emotional reaction. This coordinated activity allows us to respond appropriately, whether through comforting words, facial expressions, or supportive gestures. Research shows that empathy isn't just a passive experience, but involves complex neural interactions that are adaptable over time. The more you practice empathy and social awareness, the more these neural pathways strengthen. Recognizing the specific brain regions involved not only deepens your understanding, but also provides practical ways to consciously engage these areas. For instance, mindfulness meditation that emphasizes emotional awareness can enhance insula activity, leading to greater empathy in daily interactions. Being aware of these neural substrates can be particularly useful in developing concrete techniques to boost empathy. When faced with a difficult emotional situation, consciously activating these brain areas through focused attention or empathic exercises can help foster more authentic connections. For example, paying close attention to your own bodily sensations and emotional responses in social settings can stimulate the insula, while actively imagining the perspective of others can engage mirror neuron systems and the ACC. This awareness allows you to intentionally harness your brain's natural mechanisms for empathy, making these skills more accessible and dependable in everyday life. Empathy's role in conflict resolution and relationship building. When conflicts arise, they often lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and frustration. In such moments, empathy acts as a bridge that connects conflicting parties by fostering understanding rather than defensiveness. By genuinely trying to see the situation from the other person's perspective, you can better grasp their feelings, motivations, and concerns. This shift from a focus on personal grievances to understanding the other person's experience reduces hostility and opens the door to peaceful resolutions. For example, instead of dismissing someone's anger as unreasonable, acknowledging their feelings helps validate their experience, which often calms the situation and encourages dialogue. Empathy allows you to listen more intently, catching subtle cues like tone, facial expressions, and body language that reveal what is truly at stake beneath words spoken in anger or frustration. As conflicts unfold, cultivating this capacity to pause and consider the other's viewpoint transforms reactions into understanding, making resolution more accessible and less adversarial. Beyond resolving disputes, empathy serves as the foundation for nurturing strong, enduring relationships, whether personal or professional. When people feel understood and valued, trust naturally develops. Showing genuine interest in another person's feelings and experiences creates a sense of safety and connection that can withstand disagreements or difficult times. Empathy isn't solely about offering words of comfort. It's actively engaging with the other person's emotional world, which often involves listening without judgment, asking thoughtful questions, and expressing authentic concern. This emotional engagement deepens the bond and encourages openness, making future communication smoother. For instance, in a workplace, a leader who demonstrates empathy towards employees fosters loyalty and collaboration, leading to more productive teams. Similarly, in personal relationships, consistent empathetic responses help partners, friends, or family members feel accepted and supported, strengthening their bond over time. Building empathy as a core skill means learning to recognize and respond to emotional cues in everyday interactions, which gradually creates a resilient relational foundation. Real skill in using empathy lies in recognizing that it is not just an innate trait, but a skill one can develop with practice. Start by actively listening without planning your response while the other person speaks. Pay attention to nonverbal signals, like a clenched jaw or a shrinking posture, that might reveal underlying emotions. Practice perspective taking by imagining yourself in their situation, considering what might be going through their mind and how they might be feeling. Reflect back what you hear and observe, such as saying, "It sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed," which confirms your understanding and invites further sharing. Remember, empathy involves balance. It requires genuine emotional openness without becoming overwhelmed or taking on the other person's feelings as your own, which could lead to empathic fatigue. Small, consistent efforts to tune into others' emotional states and respond with kindness help build your empathic muscle over time, leading to more harmonious and meaningful interactions. A practical tip: try to acknowledge the emotion first before offering advice or solutions. This simple step can often diffuse tension and shift the dialogue toward mutual understanding. Practical applications of social intelligence: building rapport and interpreting microexpressions. Establishing trust quickly is essential in any interaction, whether it's a casual conversation, an interview, or a negotiation. One of the most effective ways to do this is by demonstrating genuine interest and attentiveness right from the start. Maintaining eye contact, but not in a stare-like manner, rather, holding it long enough to communicate engagement, can convey sincerity. Smiling warmly and appropriately helps to create a welcoming atmosphere, signaling that you are approachable and open. Using open body language, such as uncrossed arms and leaning slightly forward, also signals that you're receptive and invested in the conversation. Mirroring the other person's tone, gestures, and pace, subtly reflecting their energy, can further foster a connection, as it unconsciously signals alignment and understanding. Remember, people tend to feel comfortable when they perceive authenticity, so avoid forced gestures or exaggerations. Practicing active listening, where you focus completely on what the other person is saying and respond thoughtfully, cements the feeling that you value their input and are trustworthy. Small gestures like nodding appropriately, paraphrasing their points for clarity, and asking relevant questions demonstrate genuine engagement. All these techniques create a foundation of rapport that encourages openness and trust, making subsequent communication smoother and more effective. Learning how to read fleeting microexpressions is like unlocking a hidden language of emotion that often occurs beneath our conscious awareness. Microexpressions are quick, involuntary facial expressions that reveal true feelings hiding behind the words we speak. They typically last less than half a second, which makes them challenging to notice without focused attention and practice. The key to interpreting microexpressions lies in paying close attention to subtle changes in facial muscles, such as a brief tightening of the lips, a fleeting raise of the eyebrows, or a quick glare, before they disappear. These expressions act as genuine signals, often contradicting spoken words or surface-level body language, especially in high-stakes situations involving deception, discomfort, or conflicting emotions. For example, a person might be saying they're fine, but a microexpression of disgust or sadness might briefly flash across their face, indicating hidden distress. To become more proficient at recognizing these brief signals, it's helpful to train yourself to observe people's faces in different contexts, noticing minute changes without jumping to conclusions. It's equally important to consider the context and other cues, as microexpressions can be influenced by cultural background, individual differences, and the situation. Developing this skill requires patience and attentive observation, but over time, you'll start to see the unspoken truths that people often try to hide, giving you an edge in understanding their real feelings and intentions more accurately. Navigating difficult personalities and high-stakes situations. Handling difficult personalities requires a calm mindset and a strategic approach that respects both your needs and theirs. People with challenging behaviors may be driven by frustrations, insecurities, or differing communication styles, and recognizing this can help you respond effectively. Instead of reacting emotionally or defensively, focus on maintaining a neutral tone, listening actively, and acknowledging their feelings without necessarily agreeing with their perspective. This shows that you're engaged while keeping the interaction professional and constructive. Setting clear boundaries is essential. It clarifies what behavior is acceptable and what isn't, creating a safer communication space. For example, if someone consistently interrupts or becomes aggressive, Calmly but firmly redirect the conversation or restate your boundaries without escalation. Empathy plays a key role here. Try to understand the underlying cause of their behavior, which can often diffuse tension and help you respond with compassion rather than frustration. If conflict escalates despite your efforts, consider taking a step back, scheduling a follow-up when emotions are less intense, and approaching the conversation with a focus on solutions rather than blame. Remaining consistent in your responses and keeping your focus on common goals can turn what seems like a difficult interaction into an opportunity for better understanding and cooperation. Handling challenging personalities also involves adapting your communication style to their preferences. Some may respond better to direct, concise messages, while others might need more detailed explanations and reassurance. Use respectful language and avoid personal attacks, as this will usually escalate tensions rather than resolve them. When dealing with stubborn or confrontational individuals, it can be helpful to acknowledge their feelings without necessarily conceding your position. For instance, saying, "I see this is frustrating for you," can validate their emotions while still steering the conversation toward constructive outcomes. Sometimes, it's necessary to disengage temporarily if a discussion becomes unproductive, then revisit it later with a clearer, calmer perspective. Remember that patience and persistence are key. Not every difficult personality can be transformed overnight, but consistent, respectful engagement can gradually improve interactions. Keeping your focus on shared objectives, whether in workplace projects or personal relationships, can also help keep the conversation productive. Practicing this patience and professionalism builds your credibility and resilience, making future interactions easier over time and setting a standard for respectful dialogue. Similarly, managing personalities who thrive on conflict or manipulation requires additional awareness. Recognize signs of passive-aggressive behavior, gaslighting, or attempts to undermine, and respond with clear, fact-based communication. Avoid getting drawn into arguments or emotional traps. Stay focused on the facts and outcomes. If someone is intentionally provocative, calmly stating that such behavior is not acceptable and redirecting the conversation toward finding solutions can be effective. In some cases, it's best to involve a neutral third party or supervisor, especially if repeated toxicity becomes a pattern. Developing your emotional resilience by staying centered and not taking offensive comments personally can help you maintain professionalism and control. Over time, setting firm limits while demonstrating your willingness to listen can influence difficult individuals toward more respectful engagement. Remember, your goal isn't to change their personality, but to manage interactions in a way that minimizes disruption and fosters cooperation. High-stakes situations often demand clear-headed decision-making and calm communication. When under pressure, your ability to keep your emotions in check can significantly influence the outcome. Take a moment to breathe and center yourself before responding to heightened circumstances, whether in negotiations, conflicts, or urgent projects. Recognizing your physiological reactions, such as increased heart rate or tension, can help you harness techniques like deep breathing to stay grounded. Staying present in the moment allows you to listen carefully and assess the full scope of the situation without jumping to conclusions or reacting impulsively. Focus on facts rather than assumptions and ask clarifying questions to ensure you understand the core issues. Remember that appearing composed can influence others to mirror that calmness, even in chaotic moments. If you feel overwhelmed, it's acceptable to request a brief pause or time out to gather your thoughts before proceeding. Such pauses can create space for reflective thinking, which often leads to better solutions and less emotional mishandling. In high-pressure scenarios, maintaining a solution-oriented mindset can also help shift attention from emotional reactions to constructive actions. Break down complex problems into manageable parts and prioritize immediate next steps that restore stability. Keep communication clear, straightforward, and respectful, avoiding blame or accusatory language, which can escalate tension. For example, if a project is behind schedule, instead of focusing on who is responsible, focus on identifying what can be done immediately to get back on track. Use active listening to acknowledge concerns from others involved, which fosters collaboration rather than defensiveness. Practice emotional regulation techniques like visualization, affirmations, or mindfulness exercises to stay centered amidst chaos. Remember that confident, calm responses can diffuse hostility and foster trust, even in difficult moments. The ability to stay composed isn't about suppressing emotions, but controlling how you express them, so they don't undermine your effectiveness or credibility. One practical tip is to prepare mentally for stressful situations before they occur. Visualizing different scenarios and your calm responses can build resilience over time. Knowing your own boundaries and limits also helps you avoid burnout. Recognize when you need support or a break, and don't hesitate to seek assistance if the situation warrants it. Over time, developing these habits will make handling high-pressure situations more instinctive and less stressful, allowing you to act with confidence and clarity no matter how intense the environment becomes. Mastering the art of staying composed empowers you to influence outcomes positively, foster trust, and demonstrate that even the most challenging circumstances can be navigated with professionalism and grace. Techniques: active listening, perspective taking, emotional regulation. Mastering social intelligence begins with developing core skills that enable deeper understanding and connection. One of the most essential of these is attentive listening, which goes beyond simply hearing words. Active listening involves fully concentrating on the speaker, avoiding distractions, and resisting the urge to prepare your response while the other person talks. It means giving nonverbal cues like nodding or maintaining eye contact to show you are engaged. When you listen actively, you pick up on subtle nuances, tone, and pauses that reveal underlying feelings or unspoken concerns, providing a richer context for your responses. Genuinely understanding others' viewpoints, or perspective taking, is equally critical. This skill requires stepping outside your own frame of reference and imagining the world through someone else's eyes. Rather than jumping to conclusions or assuming you know what they feel, ask yourself questions like, how might they see this situation? Or what are they experiencing? When you approach conversations with curiosity and open-mindedness, it not only helps avoid misunderstandings, but also fosters trust and empathy. Practice this by mentally putting aside your assumptions and focusing solely on understanding their context, motivations, and feelings. Equally important is managing your emotions so you can respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Emotional regulation means recognizing your own feelings as they arise and choosing how to express them. When emotions run high, whether frustration, anxiety, or excitement, they can cloud your judgment and hinder meaningful communication. Techniques like deep breathing, pausing briefly before responding, or grounding yourself in the present help you stay centered. This calmness not only allows you to process your feelings more effectively, but also models self-control for others, creating a safer space for honest dialogue. Developing this skill enables you to remain composed during disagreements or stressful situations, ensuring your responses are deliberate and respectful. One practical approach to enhance these skills collectively is to set clear intentions before engaging in important conversations. Remind yourself to listen actively, understand the other person's perspective, and stay calm. This mental check-in can help you stay focused amidst complex interactions. Remember, refining social skills is an ongoing process, and even short moments of conscious effort can significantly improve your ability to connect authentically with others. Consistent practice in everyday interactions builds the habit and gradually expands your capacity for social insight and emotional balance. Challenges and limitations. Empathic fatigue and its impact. When we engage deeply in understanding and sharing the feelings of others regularly, we often face the risk of emotional exhaustion, a phenomenon known as empathic fatigue. This occurs because continuous exposure to others' pain, stress, or emotional struggles can drain our mental and emotional resources, leaving us feeling depleted and detached. Unlike physical tiredness, empathic fatigue builds gradually, often sneaking up when we least expect it, especially during ongoing crises or when supporting multiple individuals simultaneously. This exhaustion doesn't just affect our capacity to help others. It can also influence our overall well-being, leading to increased stress, irritability, and even burnout if left unaddressed. Recognizing the signs early, such as feelings of overwhelm, emotional numbness, or a sense of detached concern, is crucial for maintaining mental health in roles that demand high levels of empathy. The danger is that as empathy diminishes, our ability to connect authentically with others weakens, which can hinder relationship building and effective communication both personally and professionally. Understanding the mechanisms behind empathic fatigue reveals that it isn't merely about emotional overload, but also about the neural and psychological toll of sustained empathetic engagement. Our brains are wired for connection. Specific regions like the insula and anterior cingulate cortex become highly active when we empathize. However, these regions can become overstimulated after prolonged periods of empathy, leading to decreased sensitivity and emotional drain. The mirror neuron system, which allows us to simulate others' experiences internally, can also contribute to fatigue when activated excessively, making us feel physically and emotionally worn out. This phenomenon is more prevalent in environments where emotional labor is constant, such as healthcare, social work, or leadership roles requiring frequent conflict resolution. Without proper management, empathic fatigue not only hampers our ability to connect, but can also erode our capacity to reflect accurately and respond appropriately, risking miscommunication or reduced compassion. Protecting ourselves from empathic fatigue involves a combination of practical strategies that support emotional resilience and maintain our capacity for genuine empathy. One effective approach is establishing boundaries, deciding how much emotional energy to invest, and recognizing when to take a step back. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent, but rather ensuring that our empathy remains sustainable over time. Regularly practicing self-care routines, such as mindfulness, physical activity, or engaging in hobbies unrelated to work, can replenish emotional reserves. Additionally, cultivating awareness about one's emotional state allows us to catch signs of fatigue early and intervene before exhaustion takes hold. Techniques like deep breathing, brief breaks, or even mentally detaching for moments can help reset our emotional system. Developing a supportive environment where sharing feelings and seeking help is encouraged also prevents burnout. Remember, maintaining empathy over the long term requires ongoing attention to our mental health and recognizing that replenishing emotional energy is just as important as the acts of kindness we extend to others. A practical tip to counteract empathic fatigue is to integrate rituals that allow for mental and emotional reset. For example, ending each day with a short reflection on your emotional state or journaling thoughts about experiences that drained or uplifted you can increase awareness. Setting clear intentions at the start of each day, such as focusing on one meaningful act of connection, helps balance emotional engagement without overextending. When supporting others, developing structured responses or using specific communication techniques can reduce the emotional burden, such as focusing on active listening rather than personal emotional investment. Ultimately, recognizing that emotional resilience is a muscle that must be regularly exercised helps ensure that your capacity for empathy remains strong. Incorporating these small but consistent practices can make a significant difference in maintaining both mental health and a genuine capacity for connection over time. Cultural and contextual differences in social cues. Cultural backgrounds play a significant role in shaping how people behave socially and how they interpret the actions of others. For example, gestures, eye contact, personal space, and even facial expressions can mean very different things depending on the cultural context. In some cultures, maintaining direct eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and honesty, while in others, it may be perceived as confrontational or disrespectful. Similarly, the use of gestures such as head nods or hand movements can convey approval, disagreement, or other emotions that are specific to that culture. What might be a polite smile in one country could be viewed as insincere or even mocking in another. Recognizing these differences helps prevent misunderstandings and promotes respectful interactions across diverse backgrounds. Understanding that these variations are deeply rooted in history, social norms, and shared values allows us to interpret behaviors more accurately and less judgmentally. When engaging with people from different cultures, paying attention to context and asking clarifying questions, when appropriate, can clarify what certain cues truly mean, making communication more effective and meaningful. The importance of cultural awareness in social interactions cannot be overstated, especially as our world becomes increasingly interconnected. Being aware of cultural differences helps prevent miscommunication and reduces chances of offending someone unintentionally. It involves more than just knowing facts about other cultures. It requires adopting an open attitude and a willingness to learn. Observing how people respond in different situations, listening carefully to how they communicate, and noting their reactions can offer valuable insights into their cultural expectations. For instance, in some cultures, personal questions are common and seen as friendly, while in others, they are intrusive. Recognizing these nuances allows us to adjust our behavior accordingly, creating a space where others feel respected and understood. Cultivating cultural awareness also means being aware of one's own biases and assumptions, which can cloud judgment and distort perceptions of social cues. The more you practice observing and adapting to different social norms, the more skilled you'll become at navigating complex interactions gracefully. This adaptability fosters trust and rapport, making social exchanges smoother and more authentic across diverse cultural landscapes. Cultivating social intelligence through awareness and practice. Building social intelligence begins with understanding yourself. Developing awareness of your own behaviors, reactions, and emotional responses allows you to see how these factors influence your interactions with others. Regular reflection helps identify patterns, strengths, and areas needing improvement, making your social skills more deliberate and effective. For example, taking a few moments after conversations to consider what went well or what could have been handled differently helps you learn from each experience. Over time, this habit of reflection cultivates a deeper understanding of your social impact, allowing you to adjust approaches to better connect with others. It's also helpful to keep a journal or mental notes about interactions, noting what triggered positive or negative responses and recognizing your consistent habits. The key is to approach self-awareness as an ongoing journey, not a one-time task. Your social skills evolve most when you consistently check in with yourself and stay open to growth. Self-awareness isn't just about noticing your own behaviors. It also involves understanding your emotional responses and how they shape your reactions. If a certain comment irritates you, or if you tend to withdraw in stressful situations, recognizing these patterns allows you to work on healthier responses. Practicing mindfulness can enhance this awareness by helping you stay present in social moments without immediately reacting based on impulse. This allows space for more thoughtful, intentional responses. Engaging in regular self-assessment and seeking feedback from trusted friends or colleagues can also expand your perspective. As you become more aware of your social habits, you can deliberately tailor your actions to foster better relationships and reduce misunderstandings. Remember, the goal isn't perfection but progress. Every aware step you take improves your ability to read social cues and respond with empathy and authenticity. In addition, cultivating curiosity about others' reactions and feelings encourages greater empathy and connection. When you genuinely wonder how someone might be feeling or what they might need, your interactions become more meaningful. This curiosity fuels self-awareness by prompting questions like, why did my comment evoke such a reaction? How might my tone have influenced the other person? Did I pick up on subtle cues that indicated discomfort or enthusiasm? Developing a habit of asking these questions can deepen your understanding of social dynamics and sharpen your ability to interpret cues accurately. Over time, this habit transforms into a natural part of how you approach conversations, fostering trust and rapport in both personal and professional settings. The more you practice self-awareness and reflection, the more intuitive your social skills become, making interactions smoother and more genuine. Learning social skills isn't about reading theories. It's about applying them in daily life. Consistent practice helps translate awareness into action, making positive social behaviors more automatic and genuine. Start small by intentionally practicing active listening during conversations, focusing fully on what the other person is saying without planning your response while they speak. This develops your ability to pick up on microexpressions, tone shifts, and subtle cues that reveal underlying emotions. Next, put yourself in varied social settings, networking events, family gatherings, or team projects to challenge your skills and expand your comfort zone. Each interaction becomes an opportunity to experiment with new approaches, observe the results, and learn from successes or mistakes. Over time, these real-world experiences solidify your natural responses and deepen your understanding of social cues, making empathy and effective communication second nature. Practicing social skills requires patience and consistency, not perfection. For instance, if you find yourself avoiding difficult conversations, intentionally seek out opportunities to participate in or initiate such dialogues. This might be addressing a disagreement with a colleague or giving honest feedback to a friend. During these moments, focus on applying techniques like active listening, perspective taking, and emotional regulation. Each attempt provides valuable insights that refine your approach, helping you become more comfortable with vulnerability and confrontation. Additionally, Observing how others navigate their social interactions offers models for your own behavior. Volunteer to help facilitate group discussions or resolve conflicts, which gives you practical experience in managing complex social dynamics. The key is to view practice as a continuous process, where each interaction builds your confidence and competence in understanding and responding to social cues effectively. Incorporating practice into daily life is also about mindfulness and deliberate effort. For example, before entering a meeting or social event, pause for a moment to set an intention, to listen more attentively, stay aware of your reactions, or practice patience. During interaction, check in with yourself periodically. Are you being present? Are you noticing shifts in body language or tone? Afterward, reflect on what you experienced and what you might do differently next time. Over time, such deliberate practice helps make social skills second nature. Consistency is key. The more you practice, the quicker your skills become ingrained, making social intelligence an authentic part of who you are rather than a set of learned tricks. Small, regular efforts cumulatively improve your ability to connect, empathize, and influence others positively. Developing social intelligence, mindfulness and self-awareness practices. Integrating mindfulness techniques into daily life is a powerful way to foster greater emotional awareness and enhance our ability to stay focused on the present moment. Mindfulness involves paying deliberate attention to our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. For example, during a conversation, instead of becoming distracted by nearby noises or wandering thoughts, consciously bring your attention to the other person's words and your own reactions. This practice cultivates a habit of observing internal experiences clearly, which makes it easier to recognize emotional shifts early on and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Practicing simple exercises, such as mindful breathing, can serve as a foundational step. Take a moment to inhale slowly, feeling the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen, then exhale fully while noticing the sensation of air leaving your body. Doing this for a few minutes each day can anchor your awareness in the present and create a buffer between stimulus and response. Over time, this kind of awareness naturally expands to other activities, enabling you to recognize subtle shifts in your emotional state before they influence your behavior. It's helpful to set aside specific times for mindfulness practices, but integrating brief moments of awareness throughout your day can make a big difference in emotional regulation and clarity. In addition to focusing on the breath, guided meditations, body scans, or mindful observation of everyday activities, like eating or walking, can deepen this awareness. The goal is not to eliminate thoughts or feelings, but to observe them with acceptance, reducing the tendency to be overwhelmed by them. This ongoing awareness creates a solid foundation for recognizing your own emotional patterns and understanding how they influence interactions with others. When combined with regular practice, mindfulness becomes a natural tool that supports emotional regulation and sharpens your attention for social cues, ultimately strengthening your social intelligence. Self-awareness acts as a mirror that reflects your internal state and reveals how your emotions influence your interactions. Developing this skill involves intentionally tuning into your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors and understanding their origins and impacts. It's about noticing what triggers certain emotions, how they manifest physically, and how they shape your responses to others. For instance, recognizing that stress during a meeting leads to irritability can help you pause and choose a more constructive reaction instead of lashing out. Cultivating self-awareness requires honest reflection, whether through journaling, mindfulness, or seeking feedback, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. Effective social interactions hinge on this self-understanding because it enables you to navigate situations more skillfully. When you're aware of your emotional landscape, you can better manage your reactions, communicate more authentically, and react thoughtfully rather than instinctively. For example, understanding that you tend to become defensive when criticized allows you to catch that impulse early and respond with curiosity instead of hostility. This not only improves your resilience, but also makes others feel seen and understood, fostering trust and deeper connections. As you develop your self-awareness, it becomes easier to read social cues accurately, interpret others' emotions correctly, and adjust your behavior to suit different contexts. In essence, mindfulness and self-awareness are interdependent tools for enhancing social intelligence. Mindfulness trains you to stay present and observe without judgment, while self-awareness provides insight into your internal processes. Practicing both regularly, such as pausing before responding in a tricky situation or reflecting on your emotional responses after interactions, can create a powerful feedback loop. Over time, this continuous monitoring and understanding of your inner world transform how you engage with others, making your responses more deliberate, empathetic, and effective. A practical tip is to start noticing your emotional reactions in everyday moments, like feeling tense in traffic or anxious before a meeting, and gently explore what's happening beneath the surface. This simple practice paves the way for deeper mastery of emotional awareness and social skill development. Systematic skill development strategies. Developing social skills is not something that happens by chance. It requires a deliberate, step-by-step approach. A practical method starts with awareness, knowing which specific skills you want to improve. For instance, if you aim to enhance your ability to read social cues, you might begin by observing how people nonverbally signal their feelings through facial expressions or body language. Once you're aware of these cues, you can practice focusing on them during interactions, gradually increasing your comfort in noticing subtle microexpressions or tonal shifts. After building this awareness, break down each skill into manageable components. For example, active listening can be divided into maintaining eye contact, nodding appropriately, and paraphrasing what your interlocutor says. Focus on mastering one component at a time before integrating them into your overall communication style. To ensure continuous progress, adopting a structured learning plan is essential. This involves practicing social skills consistently rather than sporadically. Engage in deliberate exercises, such as role-playing scenarios, where you simulate challenging conversations like giving constructive feedback or navigating disagreement. Recording these interactions, analyzing your responses, and identifying areas for improvement helps build self-awareness. Additionally, seek feedback from trusted friends or colleagues who can observe your social interactions objectively. They can point out subtle habits or tendencies you might overlook, providing valuable insights for refinement. Remember, consistency paired with reflection creates a cycle of ongoing development, allowing you to steadily acquire more nuanced and effective social behaviors. Alongside practice, it's helpful to establish a learning timeline with clear milestones. For example, you might set weekly or monthly goals, such as initiating a certain number of conversations or improving your responsiveness in group discussions. Tracking progress over time is vital because it illustrates how far you've come and highlights areas needing more focus. Use tools like journals, digital trackers, or self-assessment scales to record your experiences and emotional reactions during social interactions. Recognize patterns, both successes and setbacks, which provide insights into your growth. Incorporate regular review sessions to adjust your strategies, ensuring your efforts remain aligned with your evolving needs. This systematic approach transforms social skill development from an abstract aspiration into a measurable, rewarding process that continually refines your interpersonal abilities. One practical tip is to incorporate daily mini-challenges into your routine. For example, aim to ask at least one open-ended question each day when engaging with someone new. Small, consistent steps build confidence and gradually normalize these behaviors. Over time, these habits become ingrained, making social interactions feel more natural and less effortful. Remember, the key is persistence and patience. Social skills are like muscles that strengthen with regular exercise, and tracking your progress helps you stay motivated. By systematically practicing, reflecting, and adjusting your approach, you lay a solid foundation for mastering social intelligence that can support personal growth and professional success. Transformational impact on personal and professional life. As you continue to develop this social acumen, you notice that your relationships deepen because you can identify and respond to others' needs more genuinely. Empathy plays a core role here. Being able to genuinely understand how someone feels creates a safe space where open communication flourishes. This foundation of trust and understanding fosters long-term bonds, whether with friends, family, or colleagues. Professionally, cultivating social intelligence can translate into better teamwork, more persuasive negotiation skills, and an enhanced ability to manage conflicts efficiently. As people feel understood and appreciated, they are more likely to support your ideas and initiatives, leading to a positive feedback loop of influence and success that benefits all involved. Beyond immediate gains, developing social intelligence also improves your capacity for leadership. Leaders who can interpret social cues and adapt their approach accordingly tend to inspire loyalty and commitment. They create environments where collaboration and innovation thrive because team members feel heard and valued. This level of emotional awareness extends into the realm of influence, your ability to guide others toward achieving common goals without relying on authority alone. Applying techniques like active listening, perspective taking, and emotional regulation makes you more persuasive and effective in various settings. Over time, these skills become second nature, forever transforming how you connect with others and unlock new opportunities for growth and achievement in both personal and professional spheres. Neuroscience of social interaction. Neural mechanisms underpinning social engagement. The neural pathways activated during social participation form a complex network that underpins our ability to connect with others. When we engage in social interactions, specific regions of the brain become active, facilitating processes such as interpreting others' intentions, managing emotional responses, and adjusting our behavior accordingly. The prefrontal cortex, for instance, plays a key role in decision-making and understanding social norms, helping us navigate conversations and social cues with appropriate responses. Simultaneously, areas like the amygdala are crucial for processing emotional stimuli, alerting us to potential threats or rewards in social settings, which influences our reactions and level of engagement. The insula is involved in sensing our own internal emotional states and monitoring others' feelings, supporting empathy and emotional awareness during interactions. Together, these regions form a neural network that keeps us attentive and responsive in social environments, allowing us to interpret subtle cues and respond appropriately. Two other notable neural systems closely tied to social engagement are the mirror neuron system and the oxytocin pathway. Mirror neurons activate both when we perform an action and when we observe others doing the same, providing a neural basis for understanding and imitating social behavior. This system helps us feel connected because it allows us to simulate others' actions and emotions internally, fostering a sense of shared experience. The oxytocin system, often called the bonding hormone, enhances feelings of trust and attachment during social interactions. Elevated oxytocin levels can increase our willingness to connect, promote empathy, and reinforce social bonds. These mechanisms work together to strengthen social ties by enhancing our ability to read others' intentions, share emotional states, and promote trust within relationships. Understanding these neural pathways isn't just academic. It provides insight into how social behaviors develop and how they can be influenced. For instance, activities like engaging in meaningful conversations, practicing empathy, or even participating in group activities can activate and strengthen these neural circuits over time. This neural plasticity suggests that social engagement skills are not fixed. By repeatedly practicing social interactions, we can enhance our neural connectivity related to social cognition. For example, consciously focusing on understanding others' perspectives during conversations can stimulate the prefrontal cortex and mirror neuron system, making us more adept at reading cues and responding with empathy. Recognizing the neural basis of social engagement emphasizes the importance of intentional social practice, which in turn builds a more robust social brain capable of supporting deeper, more meaningful relationships. The role of the social brain in influencing behavior. The way humans behave in social settings is deeply rooted in the functioning of specific neural processes within the brain. Our brains are not just passive receivers of social information, but active processors that shape how we interpret cues, make decisions, and respond to others. For example, when you meet someone new and decide whether to trust them or be cautious, your prefrontal cortex is evaluating social relevance based on past experiences and current signals. Simultaneously, the amygdala assesses emotional significance, especially related to fear or threat, influencing your instinctual reactions. These processes happen so quickly that often you are unaware of how your brain filters social signals before you even consciously decide how to act. The brain's neural networks are wired for social interaction because human survival has historically depended on cooperation and social bonds. Neural regions like the insula and mirror neurons are heavily involved in empathy and imitation, helping us understand others' emotions and intentions. When you see someone smile or frown, mirror neurons activate as if you are experiencing their feelings yourself, allowing you to quickly gauge their emotional state. These neural responses do not operate in isolation. Instead, they work together as an interconnected system that influences your behavior in real time. This means that your reactions are often the reflexive result of neural activity designed specifically for social functioning. Understanding how these neural processes work gives insight into why humans are naturally drawn to social connection and influence. The brain's architecture fosters behaviors like cooperation, persuasion, and conflict resolution, all of which are essential for navigating complex social landscapes. For example, research shows that when individuals are engaged in persuasive communication, areas such as the ventromedial prefrontal cortex become active, guiding them to weigh personal values against social norms. Recognizing these neural mechanisms helps in designing strategies to influence behavior ethically by aligning messages with the natural wiring of the social brain. When you understand that social behavior is driven by specific neural responses, it becomes easier to develop techniques that invoke these responses in desired ways. Implications for enhancing social skills. Understanding the neural foundations of social behavior provides a powerful platform for designing more effective training methods to develop social skills. When we know which brain regions are responsible for specific social functions, such as reading emotional cues, empathizing, or managing social conflicts, we can target these areas through tailored activities. For instance, training programs can incorporate exercises that stimulate the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in decision-making and perspective-taking, or engage the mirror neuron system to improve imitation and empathy. Using neuroscientific insights, social skills training becomes less about generic tips and more about specific bench-supported practices that directly influence brain function, making learning both more efficient and more durable. One promising approach involves neurofeedback, where individuals learn to regulate their brain activity by receiving real-time feedback on neural processes. For example, a person working on emotional regulation could be guided to activate certain areas like the anterior cingulate cortex, or insula, which are associated with empathy and emotional awareness. Over time, this kind of training can help strengthen neural pathways involved in social cognition, making social interactions smoother and more intuitive. Additionally, combining neurofeedback with practical exercises, such as role-playing or mindfulness, can amplify benefits by reinforcing neural changes through real-world practice. As research advances, these targeted interventions could become standard tools for overcoming social challenges or accelerating social skill development. Another area gaining interest is the use of virtual reality, VR, environments that simulate complex social interactions. These immersive experiences allow individuals to practice social skills in a controlled, safe space while engaging neural circuits activated during real interactions. For instance, VR scenarios can be designed to challenge users with difficult conversations or ambiguous social cues, prompting them to activate their empathy and decision-making circuits intentionally. Crucially, such environments can be customized to focus on specific deficits or areas of growth, providing immediate feedback and reinforcement. As these technologies evolve, they could serve as valuable supplements to traditional coaching, offering repeated, scalable practice that leads to more resilient and adaptable social neural pathways. Training programs that incorporate mindfulness techniques also tap into neural plasticity by enhancing awareness of social cues and emotional states. Mindfulness practices have been shown to modify activity in the prefrontal cortex and insula, fostering greater emotional regulation and attentiveness. This heightened awareness can translate into more accurate perception of microexpressions, tone of voice, and body language, key elements of social intelligence. Encouraging regular mindfulness exercises paired with social interactions helps embed neural changes, making it easier to remain present in conversations and respond thoughtfully. For practitioners, developing a routine that combines mindfulness with social skill exercises serves as a practical, scientifically supported way to bolster neural pathways associated with social engagement. Ultimately, the point is to use neuroscience not just as a theoretical foundation, but as a guide for actionable techniques. By integrating brain-based approaches, such as neurofeedback, VR, and mindfulness, social skill training gains a level of precision and effectiveness previously unavailable. The goal is to make these interventions accessible and adaptable so that anyone, regardless of baseline ability, can actively strengthen their social neural circuits. Applying these insights in everyday situations, whether in personal relationships or professional settings, leads to more genuine interactions, better understanding, and stronger connections that are rooted in a clear understanding of how our brains support social life. Empathy in action. Practicing emotional awareness. Developing a keen sense of emotional awareness begins with paying close attention to both your own feelings and the subtle cues others show. One effective way to do this is through reflective exercises. For example, at the end of each day, take a few moments to review how you felt throughout various interactions. Ask yourself questions like, what emotions did I experience? Were there moments of tension, joy, frustration, or empathy? Recognizing patterns in your emotional responses helps you become more attuned to your internal states and increases awareness over time. Keeping a journal or making quick notes about your feelings during different situations can deepen this understanding and reveal triggers that influence your emotional landscape. Equally important is learning to observe others' emotions by honing your ability to notice social cues. This involves paying attention to facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and even microexpressions, brief, involuntary facial expressions that reveal true feelings. For instance, a slight narrowing of the eyes or a quick tightening of the jaw might indicate hidden frustration or disagreement. Practice is key here. Intentionally focus on these cues during conversations, especially in high-stakes or emotionally charged moments. Over time, you'll start to recognize patterns and develop a more intuitive sense of what others are feeling, even when they don't explicitly say it. This skill allows you to respond more effectively and build deeper connections. Additional exercises that reinforce emotional awareness include labeling your feelings precisely. Instead of simply thinking, I feel bad, try to specify whether you're anxious, disappointed, embarrassed, or overwhelmed. This practice enhances your emotional vocabulary, making it easier to identify and communicate your feelings accurately. Moreover, actively empathizing involves imagining how others might be feeling based on the clues they give, which supports better social interactions. Remember, becoming more aware of emotions, both yours and others, is a gradual process that benefits from consistent, deliberate practice. Over time, you'll notice a significant boost in your capacity to navigate social situations with sensitivity and insight. Mindfulness practices serve as a powerful tool to stay present and attentive during social interactions. Cultivating mindfulness means training your mind to focus on the here and now rather than getting lost in worries about the future or dwelling on the past. Simple techniques like focusing on your breath, observing your surroundings without judgment, or gently redirecting your attention when your mind wanders can significantly increase your awareness. When you're mindful, you respond to social cues more slowly and deliberately, giving yourself the space to interpret feelings accurately rather than reacting impulsively. For example, during a conversation, if you notice your mind drifting, gently bring your attention back to the speaker's tone and facial expressions, rather than jumping to conclusions or assumptions. This practice enhances your capacity to remain open, observe honestly, and respond with genuine emotional understanding. A practical tip to integrate mindfulness into daily social interactions is to set intentional pauses. Before replying or reacting, take a brief moment, perhaps a breath or a silent count to 3, to gather your thoughts and attune yourself to the emotional undercurrents. This pause allows you to become fully present and ensures your responses are thoughtful and empathetic. Over time, these small moments of awareness compound, helping you develop a more consistent and nuanced understanding of emotional dynamics. Remember, building emotional awareness isn't about perfection. It's about increasing your sensitivity gradually. With regular practice, these techniques can become natural parts of your social repertoire, helping you connect authentically and respond more compassionately in all your relationships. Engaging in perspective taking. Active perspective taking starts with consciously imagining what the world looks like from someone else's eyes. It's not enough to simply see a situation from your own point of view. Instead, it involves deliberately stepping into another person's shoes, considering their feelings, thoughts, motivations, and background. This process requires you to pause and reflect on how their experiences and values shape their reactions and perceptions. For example, if a colleague seems upset during a discussion, instead of assuming they are merely irritated, take a moment to imagine what external pressures or personal circumstances might be influencing their mood. This exercise helps you to develop a more nuanced understanding of their behavior, reducing the tendency to judge hastily and increasing your capacity for empathy. Engaging in perspective taking involves not just understanding others intellectually, but emotionally as well, which strengthens your ability to connect authentically in various interpersonal contexts. Practice by asking yourself questions like, what might they be feeling right now? Or how might their past experiences influence their current response? Over time, this habit becomes more natural and dramatically improves your social awareness and interpersonal effectiveness. Benefits of actively imagining and understanding other people's viewpoints extend far beyond the immediate interaction. By putting yourself in someone else's position, you create space for empathy and compassion to flourish, which in turn reduces misunderstandings and conflicts. This process promotes open-mindedness, allowing you to see situations from perspectives different from your own, an essential skill in both personal and professional settings. When you master the art of perspective taking, you become better at anticipating how others will react, which helps you tailor your communication style appropriately. For example, in negotiations, understanding the other party's underlying interests and concerns allows you to find mutually beneficial solutions rather than engaging in power struggles. Similarly, in everyday life, recognizing a friend's frustrations can transform a potentially tense conversation into a supportive dialogue. Developing this skill also cultivates patience and acceptance, encouraging you to listen more deeply without rushing to judgment or interruption. The more you practice imagining others' viewpoints, the more intuitive this process becomes, enhancing your flexibility and emotional intelligence overall. To foster effective perspective taking consistently, try adopting specific habits. Start by actively listening during conversations, resisting the urge to plan your response while the other person is talking. Instead, focus entirely on understanding their words, tone, and body language. After they speak, pause and reflect on what they've shared. Ask yourself what emotions might be involved and what life experiences could influence their view. It also helps to ask clarifying questions, such as, "Can you tell me more about how you're feeling?" Or, "What led you to see it that way?" These questions show genuine interest and open the door for deeper understanding. Another useful technique is to imagine the person facing a similar situation in your own life, considering how you might feel or respond. Practicing empathy through visualization allows you to build a mental bridge that makes it easier to relate to different perspectives over time. Keep in mind, perspective taking isn't about always agreeing with others, but about genuinely understanding their frame of reference. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to become more receptive and less reactive, making social interactions smoother, more meaningful, and less prone to misunderstandings. How to maintain empathy during difficult situations. When faced with conflict or emotional stress, sustaining empathy calls for deliberate effort and adaptable strategies. A key tactic is to pause and center yourself before responding. Taking a deep breath, assessing your own emotional state, and remembering the other person's humanity can create mental space, enabling you to respond with understanding rather than defensiveness. Recognizing that emotions often run high in challenging moments is crucial. Allowing yourself time to process prevents reactions driven by frustration or anger. Remember, the goal isn't to suppress feelings, but to manage them in a way that keeps you supportive and attentive to others' needs. Active listening plays a vital role here. Genuinely paying attention to what the other person is saying and preparing an appropriate response helps maintain connection and compassion. Reflective statements, such as summarizing their concerns, reassure them they are heard, which naturally encourages calmer exchanges even in heated situations. Additionally, cultivating curiosity about the other person's perspective can soften confrontations and bolster empathy as tensions rise. Consciously setting aside judgment makes it easier to sustain compassion and avoid emotional shutdown during conflicts. This skill can be developed through regular mindfulness practices that strengthen your ability to remain present and responsive instead of reactive. Simple daily exercises like asking yourself, "What might I be feeling right now?" can gradually enhance your capacity to stay composed under pressure. Ultimately, practicing patience and accepting that emotional responses are a normal part of human interaction are essential for maintaining empathy during difficult moments. Resilience is fundamental to staying compassionate when stress and pressure mount. Developing techniques to endure challenging situations without losing empathy begins with self-awareness. Recognizing your triggers and how physical signs such as a tight chest, rapid heartbeat, or racing thoughts manifest. Implementing calming strategies like breathing exercises, which activate the parasympathetic nervous system, can help reduce anxiety and mental clutter. Reframing negative thoughts, seeing conflicts as opportunities to understand others' perspectives, shifts your mindset from defensive to supportive. Building a support network of peers and mentors offers additional opportunities for debriefing and gaining perspective, helping sustain your resilience over time. Engaging regularly in activities such as exercise, meditation, or hobbies restores energy and strengthens your ability to face ongoing challenges. Resilience isn't about avoiding difficulties, but bouncing back quickly and maintaining a sense of balance. The more resilient you are, the better you manage setbacks, reinforcing genuine connections and making resilience a consistent habit amidst external chaos. Tips for tough moments include maintaining curiosity, adopting a non-judgmental attitude, and when emotions run high, stepping back, either physically or mentally, to gain perspective. Remember, brief breaks help you see that the current situation is only part of the bigger story. Continuously developing your approach through self-reflection and journaling about charged encounters can identify triggers and inform better responses next time. Patience is especially vital when others are upset or defensive. Staying grounded with an attitude of openness and understanding fosters a more empathetic environment. The tone of your internal dialogue, affirming calmness, can significantly influence your reactions. Rather than rushing to judgments or solutions, focus on active listening. This mindset preserves your integrity and creates more meaningful, challenging interactions that ultimately foster stronger empathy and connection. Decoding social cues. Interpreting microexpressions and body language. Recognizing fleeting facial expressions, known as microexpressions, provides a window into feelings that someone might be trying to hide. These expressions often last only a fraction of a second, yet they reveal genuine emotions that may not align with spoken words. For example, a quick flicker of the eyes or a brief tightening of facial muscles can betray feelings such as anger, fear, or surprise just before a person consciously masks them. Becoming attentive to these subtle cues requires deliberate practice, but it can drastically improve your ability to interpret underlying sentiments in real-time interactions. Watching videos of people expressing different emotions or observing your own reactions in mirror exercises can help sharpen your sensitivity to these micro-movements. Deciphering body language complements the skill of spotting microexpressions by revealing consistent patterns that provide insight into a person's true attitudes. Body language includes gestures, posture, eye movements, and even subtle shifts in muscle tension. For instance, leaning away while someone speaks may indicate discomfort or disagreement, while nodding along could suggest agreement or engagement. Crossed arms might symbolize defensiveness or resistance, but context is always key. Sometimes people cross their arms when feeling cold or comfortable. Paying attention to these physical signals in conjunction with facial cues creates a fuller picture of internal emotional states, especially when words seem inconsistent with behavior. Over time, recognizing these nonverbal signs can help you interpret someone's feelings accurately without their needing to explicitly state them. To effectively read body language, it's essential to develop a habit of observing without jumping to conclusions. Focus on noticing changes in posture, facial expressions, and gestures during conversations rather than static positions. For example, if someone's posture suddenly stiffens or if their face briefly tightens when discussing a particular topic, it might indicate discomfort or disagreement sparked by that subject. It's also useful to consider clusters of behaviors. Multiple signs happening together are more meaningful than a single isolated cue. For instance, someone who avoids eye contact, leans slightly backward, and fidgets may be feeling uneasy or deceptive. As you become more familiar with these cues, you can use them to ask more targeted questions or to adjust your communication style to foster trust and openness. A practical tip is to mirror subtle body language yourself. This often encourages others to relax and naturally reveal more authentic feelings through their gestures. Remember that microexpressions and body language are context-dependent and should be interpreted within the flow of the interaction. No single cue can definitively reveal someone's emotions, but combined, These signals can tell a compelling story about what someone is truly feeling beneath the surface. The key is to stay patient and observant, avoiding assumptions while gathering enough clues to form an accurate read. Practicing active observation in everyday conversations, such as noting how someone reacts when discussing various topics, can significantly develop your skill in understanding unspoken feelings. Over time, this can transform your ability to connect more authentically, respond more empathetically, and build stronger relationships based on genuine understanding rather than mere words. A useful tip to enhance your ability to interpret microexpressions and body language is to familiarize yourself with common universal facial expressions, like happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, and disgust, and their typical physical indicators. Learning what these expressions look like can help you spot them quickly and accurately during real interactions. Keep in mind that cultural differences also influence body language, so always consider cultural context to avoid misinterpretation. Developing a habit of discreetly noting these cues and comparing them with spoken words will gradually refine your intuition. When combined with active listening and emotional awareness, paying close attention to microexpressions and body language allows you to read situations more effectively, leading to more genuine communication and trust building over time. Understanding verbal and nonverbal signals. When we communicate, words are just one piece of the puzzle. The way we say things, the tone of voice, the gestures we use, and our posture plays a crucial role in shaping the message we send. For example, someone saying "I'm fine" with a monotone voice, slumped shoulders, and avoiding eye contact might actually be conveying distress or discomfort, even if the words are positive. On the other hand, an enthusiastic tone paired with animated gestures and an upright posture can reinforce a message of excitement or confidence. Recognizing these cues helps us interpret what others truly mean, beyond just their words. It also allows us to adapt our responses effectively, creating clearer and more genuine connections. Being aware of how tone, gestures, and posture complement spoken words is fundamental in social interactions. Tone includes not just the volume and pitch, but also the rhythm and emotional quality behind the speech. A warm, steady tone conveys friendliness, while a tense or abrupt tone might signal impatience or disagreement. Gestures such as nodding, hand movements, or pointing can emphasize specific points or reveal underlying feelings. Posture reflects confidence or insecurity. For instance, leaning forward suggests engagement, whereas leaning away might indicate discomfort or disinterest. Paying attention to these nonverbal elements allows us to understand whether a person's true feelings align with their spoken words, or if they are hiding something behind a facade. Many times, verbal and nonverbal signals work in harmony, reinforcing each other to strengthen a message. However, discrepancies can also occur, revealing hidden truths or concealed emotions. For instance, someone might verbally agree to a request but display crossed arms, averted gaze, or a stiff posture, indicating resistance or doubt. Recognizing such inconsistencies is valuable because they often point to underlying issues or unspoken reservations. This awareness offers an opportunity to address possible misunderstandings directly, fostering trust and openness. Developing an eye for these signals requires practice, but it dramatically enhances your ability to read true intentions and emotional states, making your social intelligence much sharper and more reliable. A practical tip is to always consider the context of a conversation. A person's nonverbal cues might vary depending on the setting, culture, or even their current mood. For example, in some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of confidence, while in others, it might be seen as aggressive. Similarly, certain gestures can have different meanings across cultures. By combining an understanding of verbal content with awareness of nonverbal signals, you can avoid misinterpretations and respond more thoughtfully. Observing patterns over time, rather than isolated cues, also helps distinguish between accidental nonverbal signals and genuine emotions, making your reading of social signals more accurate and meaningful. Applying social cues to improve communication. Decoding social cues is fundamental to making conversations clearer and creating a genuine connection with others. When we pay attention to subtle signals like facial expressions, posture, tone of voice, and microexpressions, we gain insight into what someone might truly be feeling or thinking. Recognizing these cues helps us respond more accurately and empathetically, reducing misunderstandings that often occur when words are taken at face value alone. As an example, If someone quickly avoids eye contact or fidgets during a discussion, these cues could suggest discomfort or disagreement, prompting us to adjust our approach proactively. Focusing on these signs allows us to align our responses more closely with the other person's emotional state, which makes interactions feel more authentic and less transactional. On the other hand, adapting our communication based on the social cues we observe is equally important. This means being flexible and tailoring our words, tone, and body language to match the situation and the other person's mood. For instance, in a professional setting where someone appears stressed or overwhelmed, softening your tone and offering supportive language can diffuse tension. Conversely, if someone seems enthusiastic and eager, matching their energy can foster rapport. Paying attention to cues like facial expressions, gestures, or even subtle changes in voice pitch helps us decide whether to be more assertive or more gentle. This dynamic adjustment creates a conversational rhythm that communicates understanding and respect, building trust over time. Building this skill involves constant practice and observation. One effective way is to consciously note social cues during conversations, asking yourself what the other person's body language, facial expressions, or tone might be telling you. Afterward, reflect on whether your response matched those cues and consider how your adjustments might have influenced the interaction. As a practical tip, consider focusing on one or two cues at a time, such as eye contact or posture, and make a deliberate effort to interpret and respond to them. Over time, this deliberate practice can help you become more intuitive, enabling you to navigate social environments smoothly, whether in personal relationships or professional exchanges. Managing social dynamics. Building and maintaining alliances. Forming strong, mutually beneficial relationships begins with understanding the other person's needs and interests. When seeking to create an alliance, it's important to look for common ground, areas where your goals align and where collaboration can create value for both sides. Building genuine rapport involves active listening, showing empathy, and demonstrating a willingness to understand the other person's perspective. Trust is often the foundation of any solid alliance, so being honest and transparent about your intentions helps foster that trust from the start. Once initial connections are made, maintaining these alliances requires consistent effort and reliability. Trust develops over time when you follow through on your commitments and keep your promises. Consistency in your actions reassures the other person that they can depend on you, which encourages ongoing collaboration. Open communication is vital. Regularly check in, share updates, and address concerns openly before they escalate. Recognize and celebrate shared successes, as this reinforces the partnership and deepens mutual commitment. To nurture alliances effectively, consider adopting a mindset of reciprocity. Always look for ways to add value to the relationship, whether through sharing knowledge, offering support, or making introductions. When conflicts arise, approach them with an attitude of problem-solving rather than blame. Address issues directly but tactfully, and listen actively to the other person's point of view. Remember, every successful alliance is built on a balance of give and take, rooted in genuine trust and consistent behavior. These elements turn short-term connections into long-lasting partnerships. Navigating power and influence. Understanding how social influence works is essential for anyone looking to lead, persuade, or even simply connect more effectively with others. Influence isn't about manipulating people or pressuring them into doing things. Instead, it's about engaging relationships ethically and authentically to shape outcomes that benefit all parties involved. People are naturally influenced by their environment, the opinions of others, and the subtle cues they pick up through social interactions. Recognizing these underlying dynamics allows you to harness influence in ways that are transparent and respectful. Using social influence ethically means being intentional about your actions and ensuring your methods align with integrity. When you focus on honesty, empathy, and mutual benefit, influence becomes a positive force rather than a tool for manipulation. For example, leading with transparency and openly sharing your intentions encourages trust. Building influence through shared values and consistent behavior makes your leadership more sustainable and resilient. In practice, this means avoiding coercive tactics like fear or deception, and instead fostering an environment where others feel valued and understood. Effective influence also requires understanding the principles behind persuasion, such as reciprocity, social proof, authority, liking, consistency, and scarcity, and applying them thoughtfully. For instance, People are more likely to act when they feel a sense of obligation to return favors, reciprocity, or see that others are taking similar actions, social proof. When you leverage these principles, it's crucial to do so with authenticity. This could mean sharing success stories, demonstrating expertise genuinely, or demonstrating sincere appreciation for others' contributions. When influence is built upon honesty and respect, it leads to stronger relationships and more meaningful outcomes, making your influence sustainable over time. Resolving conflicts effectively. When conflicts arise, applying structured frameworks can guide individuals and teams toward understanding and reconciliation rather than escalation. One effective approach is to focus on the underlying interests behind opposing positions, rather than just the surface disagreement. This involves actively listening to each person's concerns, asking clarifying questions, and acknowledging emotions without immediate judgment. Encouraging all parties to share their perspectives in a calm, respectful manner helps reveal common goals and facilitates mutual understanding. Utilizing models like the interest-based relational approach allows facilitators to create a safe space where conflicts become opportunities for growth, not just battles to win. When people feel heard and respected, they are more open to compromise and cooperative solutions, turning friction into an indication of deeper needs that can be addressed collaboratively. Developing communication skills that diffuse tension and foster cooperation is crucial in resolving conflicts effectively. Active listening stands at the core of this process. It involves giving full attention, avoiding interruptions, and paraphrasing what has been said to ensure understanding. Showing genuine empathy through body language, tone of voice, and verbal affirmations can reduce defensiveness and promote openness. Asking open-ended questions encourages dialogue and allows conflicting parties to express their feelings and perspectives without feeling judged or dismissed. Additionally, practicing emotional regulation during tense moments helps prevent escalation. Taking a breath, pausing before responding, and maintaining a calm tone can significantly change the course of a disagreement. These skills create an environment where conflicts are addressed with clarity and compassion, making resolution possible even in high-stakes situations. Techniques like framing conversations around shared goals and avoiding blame further foster cooperation, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for connection and partnership. Mastering difficult conversations. Preparing for high-impact discussions. Effective preparation is the foundation for navigating challenging conversations with confidence. Before entering a difficult discussion, take time to clarify what you want to achieve. Define specific goals, such as resolving a conflict, exchanging feedback, or reaching an agreement. This helps prevent the conversation from drifting into unproductive territory and keeps you focused on a clear purpose. Think about the outcomes you desire and the key messages you want to communicate. Visualizing a positive result can also boost your confidence and reduce anxiety, making it easier to stay composed should the dialogue become intense. Planning involves not only setting goals, but also anticipating possible reactions and preparing responses. Consider how the other person might feel or react, and think about ways to address their potential concerns with empathy. This forward thinking allows you to approach the discussion with greater flexibility and reduces the likelihood of feeling caught off guard. It can be helpful to jot down main points, questions, or strategies beforehand, keeping these notes discreetly accessible. Remember, the goal isn't to script every word, but to establish a mental framework that guides your approach and helps you stay aligned with your objectives. Having a clear plan also means choosing the right timing and environment for the conversation. Select a setting free from distractions where both parties can speak openly. Timing matters. Avoid initiating high-stakes discussions when emotions are running high or when either person is distracted or rushed. Setting aside sufficient time ensures you won't feel hurried, allowing for a more thoughtful exchange. When you prepare thoroughly in this manner, you're more likely to approach the conversation with a sense of control and purpose, ultimately increasing the chances of a positive outcome. Understanding your goals and the context of the discussion also involves clarifying your own motivations. Ask yourself why this conversation matters, what your underlying interests are, and how your words might impact the relationship. Recognizing whether your intent is to seek understanding, influence, or resolve conflict can shape your strategy and tone. When your goals align with your values, you naturally communicate with authenticity, which tends to foster better connection and trust. Taking these steps well in advance gives you the mental clarity needed to handle complex situations without being overwhelmed by emotion or distraction. In addition, it's wise to prepare emotionally by recognizing your own feelings about the discussion. If you're feeling anxious, angry, or defensive, spend a few moments calming your mind, perhaps through deep breathing or mindfulness techniques. Coming into the conversation with a calm, centered mental state helps you listen more effectively and respond thoughtfully. Remember, good preparation extends beyond content. It encompasses your emotional readiness, which can make all the difference in how the dialogue unfolds and how both parties feel afterward. Finally, setting clear objectives and emotional readiness serves as a catalyst to approach high-stakes conversations with purpose rather than reaction. Revisit your goals briefly moments before the discussion begins to reinforce your focus. Use this time to align your mindset, reminding yourself of the importance of staying respectful, open-minded, and centered. By being intentional about planning and setting your goals beforehand, you create a strong foundation that supports meaningful, impactful exchanges, transforming potentially difficult conversations into opportunities for growth and stronger connections. Techniques for de-escalation and mutual understanding. When tensions rise in a conversation or conflict, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor is often the first step to de-escalation. Speaking in a steady, friendly tone helps set a peaceful atmosphere and signals that you are open to resolving the issue rather than escalating it further. It's important to be deliberate with your words, avoiding judgmental language or accusatory statements, and instead focusing on neutral, understanding expressions. Showing patience during an intense moment can often encourage the other person to reflect on their reaction and begin to shift their own tone. Active listening is one of the most powerful tools in reducing tension. This approach means fully concentrating on what the other person is saying without interrupting or planning a response while they speak. It involves paying close attention to their words, tone, and body language, then responding thoughtfully. Repeating or paraphrasing what you've heard not only confirms your understanding, but also shows genuine engagement. These actions make the speaker feel heard and respected, which can gradually lower defensiveness and open the door to mutual understanding. Remember, sometimes people just want to feel acknowledged, and active listening provides that reassurance. Creating a space where empathy can flourish is equally vital. When you make an effort to see the situation from the other person's perspective, it fosters a sense of connection and trust. Asking open-ended questions encourages them to share more about their feelings and concerns, which helps uncover the underlying causes of their agitation. Finding common ground, such as shared goals or values, can also redirect focus from conflict toward cooperation. For example, if someone is upset about a deadline, emphasizing your shared interest in the project's success can shift the conversation toward collaboration rather than confrontation. Through genuine empathy and a focus on shared interests, mutual understanding becomes more achievable even in difficult moments. Ensuring positive outcomes in challenging interactions. Maintaining professionalism and fostering a positive rapport during difficult conversations require a conscious effort to stay composed and respectful, no matter how provocative the other person may seem. One effective approach is to focus on active listening, which involves giving full attention to what the other person is saying without interrupting or jumping to conclusions. This shows genuine respect and signals that you value their perspective, even if you disagree. It's also essential to control your tone and body language. Keeping your voice calm, avoiding aggressive gestures, and maintaining eye contact can help reduce tension. Remember, staying grounded and avoiding defensiveness allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. When conflicts arise, framing your comments in terms of shared goals or common interests can help shift the focus from confrontation to collaboration. For example, saying, "We both want to find a solution that benefits everyone," can create a sense of partnership rather than opposition. Recognizing emotional cues is equally critical. Acknowledging feelings without dismissing them can diffuse hostility and opens the door to more productive dialogue. After managing the immediate moment, reflecting on your approach and the interaction itself can solidify positive change and build confidence for future situations. Consider what strategies worked well and where there is room for improvement. Did you maintain your composure? Did you listen actively? Were you able to clarify misunderstandings without escalating the conflict? Honest reflection helps identify patterns and preferences in your responses, giving you insight into your strengths and areas that need development. Writing down key takeaways from each interaction can serve as a helpful reference, especially when similar situations recur. Follow-up is a crucial step in reinforcing positive outcomes. Reaching out after the conversation, whether through a brief email or a quick check-in, demonstrates your commitment to resolving issues and maintaining a professional relationship. This show of ongoing engagement can turn a challenging exchange into a foundation for trust and better understanding. When following up, reiterate key points discussed, express appreciation for their willingness to engage, and clarify any remaining concerns. This continuous effort toward clarity and kindness builds resilience and credibility in your interpersonal dealings. Implementing these practices consistently can significantly improve your ability to navigate difficult interactions successfully. Always remember that each encounter offers a learning opportunity. You can adjust your approach based on what you observe and experience. Over time, you'll develop a stronger sense of steering conversations toward constructive outcomes, even under pressure. Keep in mind that patience and persistence are essential, as changing habits and perceptions won't happen overnight. As you refine your skills, you'll notice that difficult conversations become less intimidating and more manageable. A practical tip is to prepare ahead of time by identifying your objectives and possible challenges. Think about how you want to handle potential objections or emotional outbursts, and plan responses that are firm yet empathetic. This preparation boosts confidence and helps you stay centered, allowing you to guide interactions in a positive direction regardless of the circumstances. Influencing others ethically. Principles of ethical influence. Ethical boundaries in influence involve understanding that persuasion should always be grounded in integrity and respect for others. When attempting to guide or motivate someone, it's essential to be honest about your intentions and avoid manipulative tactics that can deceive or exploit. True influence does not rely on deception, coercion, or deceit. Instead, it builds trust and credibility by presenting facts clearly and respecting the decision-making process of others. Leaders who operate within ethical boundaries establish a foundation of reliability, fostering long-term relationships rather than short-term compliance. Maintaining integrity and influence means being accountable for your actions and ensuring that your motivations align with fairness and genuine concern for others' well-being. Respect for autonomy and honesty are core to influencing others ethically. Recognizing that every individual has the right to make their own decisions is paramount. Instead of compelling or pressuring others into agreement, ethical influence involves guiding through transparency and providing accurate information. Honesty plays a crucial role here. Being truthful about your motives, limitations, and the potential outcomes allows others to make informed choices. It's important to avoid exaggeration or withholding pertinent details, as these actions erode trust and can harm relationships over time. When influence is practiced with respect for autonomy and reinforced by honesty, it naturally fosters a collaborative environment where decisions are truly voluntary and motivated by genuine understanding rather than manipulation. Practicing ethical influence also requires awareness of your own values and boundaries. You should continually question whether your methods serve both your goals and the best interests of those involved. Ethical influence isn't about gaining compliance at any cost. It's about guiding others while honoring their dignity and independence. This might mean listening deeply to their concerns, acknowledging their perspectives, and offering options rather than directives. By doing so, you reinforce that influence is a mutual process rooted in trust and respect, which enhances the likelihood that the influence will be meaningful and sustainable. A practical tip is to regularly reflect on your motivations and ensure your actions align with your core principles, reinforcing a foundation of integrity in every interaction. Persuasive communication strategies. Being authentic and transparent when communicating persuasively is crucial for building trust and credibility. People are generally better persuaded when they sense sincerity rather than manipulation or hidden agendas. Authenticity involves genuinely believing in what you are promoting and communicating honestly about your intentions and the benefits involved. Transparency complements this by openly sharing relevant information, including potential drawbacks or uncertainties, which demonstrates honesty. When you're transparent, you show respect for your audience's intelligence and their right to make informed decisions. This establishes a foundation of trust that makes others more receptive to your message, even when the topic is complex or sensitive. To effectively incorporate these elements into your communication, consider combining storytelling with genuine transparency. For instance, share a personal experience related to your message to foster authenticity, then clearly outline facts and areas where you're still learning or have uncertainties. This approach humanizes your message, making it more relatable and trustworthy. Remember, persuasion is rarely about convincing someone in a single moment. It's about creating a relationship built on honesty, shared values, and emotional resonance. When people feel genuinely understood and see your sincerity, they become more open to your ideas and more willing to engage in meaningful dialogue rather than defensively resisting change. Practicing openness and storytelling routinely helps develop your skills in building authentic connections that naturally persuade rather than pressure. Balancing influence and authenticity. Influence is often seen as a powerful tool to guide others, achieve goals, or foster collaboration, but it can quickly become a double-edged sword if not applied thoughtfully. The key challenge lies in persuading others without compromising your core values or sacrificing credibility. Authenticity serves as the foundation for genuine influence because people are naturally tuned to detect insincerity or manipulation. When you stay true to your principles, your influence becomes sustainable, not fleeting. For example, a leader who advocates for honesty and transparency will earn trust, even among those who might initially oppose their ideas. This trust then becomes a source of durable influence because people follow not just your words, but also the conviction behind them. To build influence without losing sight of your values, it's essential to communicate with clarity and integrity. Avoid strategies that rely solely on pressure, flattery, or deception, as these can backfire once your true intentions are revealed. Instead, focus on understanding others' needs and motivations and align your message in a way that resonates with their values. When your influence is rooted in a genuine desire to support others' growth or solve problems, it feels less like manipulation and more like collaboration. This approach allows you to persuade while maintaining respect for everyone's autonomy, creating stronger, more meaningful connections built on trust and authenticity. Authentic influence also involves being open about your own limitations and agenda. People appreciate honesty and are more likely to follow someone who admits what they don't know and who's transparent about their intentions. This reduces skepticism and creates a space where constructive dialogue can flourish. For instance, instead of pushing an idea aggressively, you can share your reasoning honestly, inviting feedback and shared ownership of the outcome. As you develop influence in this way, others perceive you as someone who leads with integrity, which boosts your credibility over time. Developing influence without sacrificing authenticity requires a deliberate balance. It's about using persuasion techniques that respect the other person's agency rather than undermining it. Building rapport, active listening, and demonstrating empathy can all serve as powerful tools to foster influence that feels authentic. When you align your influence with your core values, you ensure that your relationships remain strong and sustainable. This approach not only elevates your leadership, but also encourages reciprocal trust, making influence mutually beneficial rather than one-sided or superficial. Creating authentic connections as the foundation for influence involves genuine engagement. When people sense that you care about their perspectives and are committed to honest communication, they become more receptive to your ideas. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say, but it does mean listening actively, validating their feelings, and showing empathy. Such interactions foster a sense of mutual respect, which naturally breeds influence that withstands challenges. It's through these authentic exchanges that you build the long-term rapport necessary for meaningful leadership and influence to flourish. Ultimately, influence built on authenticity tends to be more adaptable and resilient. It can weather disagreements and setbacks because it's rooted in trust rather than superficial tactics. As you develop your social intelligence, remember that listening deeply, acting consistently with your values, and showing genuine empathy will always serve as the most reliable foundation for influence. When your actions reflect your true self and your intentions are transparent, others will recognize that authenticity and respond with genuine openness, creating a cycle of trust that supports your influence over the long term. Applying social intelligence across environments. Leadership and team dynamics. Effective leadership hinges on the ability to understand and motivate others, which is where social intelligence plays a crucial role. Leaders who can read social cues, recognize emotions, and adapt their communication styles tend to foster stronger connections with their teams. When leaders demonstrate genuine empathy and awareness of team members' perspectives, they build trust and loyalty, creating an environment where collaboration naturally flourishes. This emotional attunement allows leaders to identify unspoken concerns or dissatisfaction before they escalate, enabling timely intervention. In situations of change or conflict, social intelligence enables leaders to navigate tensions skillfully, mediating differences and aligning team efforts towards shared goals. Within teams, social intelligence impacts cohesion by establishing a culture of openness and mutual respect. When team members feel understood and valued, they are more likely to contribute ideas freely, accept feedback, and support each other. Leaders skilled in social awareness can promote positive interactions, diffuse misunderstandings, and foster a sense of belonging. Such leaders are also adept at recognizing each individual's strengths and preferences, assigning roles that align with their natural inclinations. This not only boosts productivity, but also enhances job satisfaction. Ultimately, teams that are cohesive and emotionally connected tend to perform better, as members are motivated by a shared sense of purpose and trust. Building a cohesive team through social intelligence involves deliberate actions. For instance, practicing active listening encourages team members to feel truly heard, reducing feelings of alienation. Recognizing microexpressions and subtle shifts in body language helps leadership gauge unspoken sentiments, allowing for more tailored communication. Encouraging open dialogue and creating safe spaces for honest feedback help prevent misunderstandings and foster transparency. Leaders who display humility and vulnerability, sharing their own experiences and uncertainties, set the tone for a psychologically safe environment. When leaders focus on developing their social skills, they eventually cultivate a team culture that values emotional awareness, empathy, and effective communication, leading to sustained success. Personal relationships and networking. Trust in personal relationships is also built through vulnerability. Being willing to show your true self encourages others to open up mutually. This doesn't mean oversharing, but rather sharing enough to create a safe environment where both parties feel comfortable being authentic. Building intimacy often involves shared experiences, which create common ground and memories that reinforce your connection over time. It's vital to be patient, recognizing that real trust develops gradually, especially when others have faced previous disappointments or breaches of trust. Being dependable, consistent, and respectful in your interactions creates a sense of safety that promotes both trust and closeness. Networking plays a significant role in personal and professional growth because it broadens your access to resources, ideas, and opportunities. Through meaningful connections, you can gain insights that are not available through formal channels alone. Investing time in your network isn't just about exchanging contacts. It's about nurturing relationships that are mutually beneficial. Offering value to others, such as sharing useful information, making helpful introductions, or providing encouragement, builds reciprocal trust and rapport. As your network expands, so does your ability to learn from others' experiences and perspectives, which can inspire new solutions and growth in your own life. Effective networking involves more than just gathering contacts. It requires intentional efforts to develop authentic relationships where both parties feel genuinely connected. Instead of approaching networking as a transactional activity, viewing it as an opportunity to exchange ideas and support creates a more sustainable and rewarding process. Participating in social events, joining clubs, or engaging on professional platforms all serve as avenues for expanding your network. Remember that relationships built on sincerity and shared values tend to endure longer and produce more meaningful benefits over time. The key is to be proactive, consistent, and authentic in your interactions, ensuring that your connections are rooted in trust and mutual respect. One practical tip for strengthening both personal relationships and professional networks is to practice active listening. Focus on truly understanding what the other person is saying without planning your reply while they talk. Reflect their words back to ensure clarity and demonstrate that you are engaged. When appropriate, ask thoughtful questions that deepen the conversation and show genuine interest. This approach not only helps reveal underlying needs or feelings, but also reinforces your commitment to understanding the other person. Over time, this genuine attentiveness builds loyalty and trust, making your relationships more resilient and fruitful. Navigating professional settings and negotiations. Negotiating effectively in a professional setting often hinges on how well you communicate and influence others. Being clear about your goals is essential, but equally important is your ability to listen actively. When engaging in negotiations, focus on understanding the underlying needs and interests of the other party, rather than just advocating your position. This approach helps in finding common ground and creating solutions that benefit everyone involved. Keep your tone respectful and composed, even if disagreements arise, as emotional escalation can derail negotiations. In influence, authenticity matters. People are more likely to be persuaded if they sense sincerity and transparency. Use empathy to connect with their perspectives and tailor your message to resonate with their values or concerns. Framing your proposals in ways that align with their goals increases your chances of success. Additionally, control your body language and facial expressions. Maintaining eye contact, adopting an open posture, and nodding affirmatively can convey confidence and attentiveness, making others more receptive to your ideas. Another key tip involves timing. Recognize when to push forward and when to hold back. Sometimes, giving others space to consider offers or proposals results in better outcomes. Remember that negotiations aren't just about what you say, but how you say it. Small adjustments in tone, pace, and emphasis can influence perceptions and decisions. Practice active paraphrasing to confirm understanding, which helps build trust and clarity. By employing these techniques, you not only communicate more effectively, but also build a reputation as a fair and influential negotiator. When preparing for negotiations, gather as much relevant information as possible beforehand. Knowledge about the other party's history, preferences, and constraints empowers you to craft compelling arguments. Recognize that influence often involves storytelling. Sharing relevant examples or consequences can make your points more relatable and persuasive. Also, don't underestimate the power of silence. Pausing after making a point invites others to fill the space, sometimes revealing their true thoughts or reservations. Remember, influence isn't about manipulation, but about guiding conversations toward mutually beneficial solutions. Being able to read social cues is a cornerstone of social intelligence that can significantly improve your effectiveness in different professional situations. Microexpressions, body language, tone of voice, and facial movements all serve as signals that reveal what someone is truly feeling or thinking. For example, a slight frown or tense posture might indicate disagreement or discomfort, even if their words suggest agreement. By paying close attention to these cues, you can adjust your approach instantly to foster better communication and connection. Adapting to social cues involves developing keen observational skills and suspending judgment. Notice patterns in how colleagues or clients respond over time, and use that insight to shape your interactions. If someone appears distracted or disengaged, it may be effective to switch to a more engaging topic or ask open-ended questions to rekindle their interest. Conversely, if they seem enthusiastic, you can deepen the conversation or propose collaborative opportunities. Mastering this skill allows you to navigate conversations smoothly, whether you're managing conflicts, leading a team, or closing a deal. Interpreting cues accurately also requires understanding cultural and individual differences. Some people may naturally be more expressive, while others are reserved. What's considered a friendly gesture in one culture might be misinterpreted in another. Developing cultural awareness alongside social cue recognition broadens your ability to connect genuinely across diverse professional landscapes. To improve your skills, practice mindfulness during conversations. Be fully present rather than distracted, so you catch subtle signals that might otherwise go unnoticed. Practicing decoding social cues isn't about reading minds, but about interpreting observable behaviors thoughtfully. If you're uncertain about what certain cues mean, ask clarifying questions rather than making assumptions. For instance, if someone crosses their arms and turns away, consider whether they're simply cold or genuinely uninterested, and ask in a respectful manner. Over time, honing your sensitivity to these signals will enable you to respond proactively, fostering stronger relationships, avoiding misunderstandings, and navigating complex interactions with confidence. Remember, the ability to read social cues is like a muscle, strengthened with continuous practice and attunement. Start by paying close attention during meetings or conversations, noting both verbal and nonverbal responses. Observe how your own gestures and tone influence others, and adjust accordingly. By becoming more aware of subtle social signals, you'll be better equipped to adapt your behavior in real time, making your professional interactions more effective and your influence more genuine. The path to mastery: continuous learning and self-reflection. Ongoing education plays a vital role in developing strong social skills. Social intelligence isn't a fixed trait. It grows through deliberate effort and regular learning. As social norms, communication styles, and cultural contexts evolve, staying updated helps you adapt and refine your interpersonal abilities. Engaging with books, workshops, podcasts, or conversations with diverse individuals broadens your understanding of human behavior and emotional cues. This continuous influx of new insights allows you to respond more effectively in different social settings and keeps your skills sharp over time. Self-assessment is equally important. Regularly taking stock of your social interactions helps you identify what works well and what areas need improvement. By reflecting on past experiences, both successes and missteps, you gain a clearer picture of your strengths and blind spots. For example, after a difficult conversation, consider whether you remained calm or missed subtle cues that could have improved the outcome. Writing down your observations or discussing them with a trusted friend or mentor can deepen your understanding. This honest evaluation creates a foundation for growth, making future interactions more confident and authentic. Establishing routines for reflection enhances consistency and makes self-awareness a habit. Setting aside a few minutes each day or week to review recent interactions enables you to track progress over time. During these moments, ask yourself questions such as, did I listen actively? Was I able to read the other person's emotional state? Could I have handled a situation better? Keeping a journal or using digital logs can make it easier to recognize patterns, celebrate improvements, and identify recurring challenges. Over time, these routines build your capacity for self-adjustment, ensuring your social skills deepen progressively rather than stagnate. Practicing self-awareness through continuous learning and reflection also helps you develop empathy more naturally. When you understand your own emotional responses and social habits, you become better at perceiving others' feelings and perspectives. This ongoing process nurtures a growth mindset, an attitude that values improvement and sees mistakes as opportunities to learn. Whether you're preparing for a critical conversation or just aiming to connect more genuinely with others, committing to this cycle of education and self-assessment ensures your social intelligence evolves in tandem with your experiences. To make this practically effective, consider integrating small habits into your daily life. For instance, after meetings or social events, take a few moments to jot down what went well and what could improve. Challenge yourself to identify specific cues you might have missed or misunderstood, and think about how you could respond differently next time. Strike a balance between learning new concepts and applying existing knowledge. As your awareness grows, so will your ability to navigate complex social dynamics with confidence and authenticity, making everyday interactions feel more natural and meaningful. Remember, the process of learning and self-reflection never truly ends. The most socially intelligent individuals are those who see every interaction as an opportunity to grow and learn. By consistently updating your knowledge base and honestly evaluating your performance, you turn social skill development into an ongoing journey, one that leads to deeper relationships, better influence, and increased personal satisfaction. Keep curiosity alive and make self-assessment a regular part of your routine, and you'll find your ability to connect with others becoming more intuitive and impactful over time. Building resilience against empathic fatigue. Maintaining emotional resilience while practicing compassion involves developing strategies that allow you to stay grounded and balanced, even when continuously engaging with others' hardships. One effective approach is cultivating awareness about your emotional limits. Recognizing early signs of fatigue, such as feeling overwhelmed, disengaged, or irritable, can help you intervene before exhaustion takes hold. Making it a habit to check in with yourself after emotionally intense interactions ensures you're attuned to your needs and can adjust your engagement accordingly. Incorporating regular mindfulness practices, such as deep breathing or meditation, helps in creating a mental pause, allowing you to process feelings without becoming overwhelmed. Another essential method for resilience is setting healthy boundaries. Compassion does not require constant giving without limits. Instead, clear boundaries define what you can offer without sacrificing your well-being. For example, allocate specific times for emotional engagement, and ensure you have time set aside for personal activities and rest. Engaging in reflection helps to process your feelings and prevents emotional buildup, which can lead to burnout. Journaling thoughts and emotions after challenging interactions can serve as an outlet, reinforcing emotional clarity and resilience. Building a supportive environment, surrounding yourself with understanding colleagues or friends, also reinforces your capacity to maintain compassion without depleting your internal resources. To foster long-term resilience, it's helpful to develop skills that protect your emotional health, such as emotional regulation techniques. Techniques like labeling your emotions, reframing negative thoughts, and practicing self-compassion can prevent feelings of helplessness and protect against empathic fatigue. Remember, practicing empathy is not about feeling responsible for others' pain, but about offering genuine support without absorbing their distress. Regularly engaging in activities that replenish your energy, such as hobbies, exercise, or spending time in nature, recharges your emotional reserves. Maintaining a balanced lifestyle that includes adequate sleep, nutrition, and social connections plays a vital role in anchoring your resilience, ensuring you can continue to provide support without compromising your well-being. Practicing these strategies consistently helps you build a resilient mindset, essential for sustaining compassion over the long term. When you develop awareness of your emotional limits and implement self-care routines, you reinforce your ability to stay empathetic without succumbing to fatigue. Remember, resilience is not about suppressing feelings, but about understanding and managing them effectively. Even on difficult days, taking small steps, like a moment of mindful breathing or a quick walk, can make a significant difference in preserving your capacity for empathy and compassion. Over time, these habits become second nature, allowing you to remain an effective, compassionate presence while safeguarding your own mental and emotional health. Long-term benefits of social intelligence development. As social intelligence becomes rooted in your daily behavior, its impact extends across virtually every aspect of life. In personal relationships, it helps foster genuine connections built on understanding and mutual respect. This enhances not only romantic partnerships but friendships and family bonds, leading to a sense of belonging and emotional security. Professionally, social intelligence opens doors to leadership roles, better teamwork, and increased influence. When you can read people's emotions accurately and respond appropriately, you create an environment of trust that encourages collaboration. This eventually leads to higher job satisfaction, career advancement, and a reputation as someone others want to work with or follow. Over the long term, the skills associated with social intelligence also promote mental health. Being able to manage social stress, navigate conflicts, and maintain positive interactions reduces feelings of isolation and anxiety. People who develop their social skills tend to experience greater self-awareness and emotional regulation, empowering them to handle setbacks more effectively. These capabilities bolster resilience, enabling them to face life's inevitable challenges with a balanced perspective. Additionally, practicing empathy regularly broadens your understanding of diverse viewpoints, fostering tolerance and patience. This openness not only enriches personal growth, but also creates a more harmonious environment in your community or workplace. Furthermore, mastering social skills leads to a cycle of continuous improvement. As you experience success in building relationships, your motivation to develop these skills increases. This ongoing process results in a more refined understanding of human interactions, making your social navigation more intuitive over time. For example, someone who has practiced active listening consistently will naturally become more empathetic and perceptive about subtle cues such as microexpressions or tone shifts. This heightened awareness allows for more nuanced communication, which can prevent disagreements before they escalate and foster collaborations that might have otherwise been impossible. Over the years, this persistent development translates into a more authentic, confident, and influential presence in all areas of life. To maximize the long-term benefits, consider integrating simple habits into daily routines. Regularly reflect on your interactions, noting where you succeeded or where improvement is possible. Practice mindfulness to stay present during conversations and actively seek feedback from trusted peers. Over time, these small but consistent efforts compound, deepening your social intelligence. Remember, the key lies in persistence and openness to learning, which gradually transforms social skills from learned behaviors into second nature. This investment pays off with a more satisfying, connected life characterized by meaningful relationships and lasting personal and professional fulfillment. If there's one thing I hope you take from this book, it's this. Social intelligence is not a finish line. It's not a badge you earn. It's a living, breathing skill, a way of moving through the world with presence, curiosity, and genuine care for the people around you. You will not always get it right. Sometimes you'll miss a cue, say the wrong thing, or misread a room. That's okay. Mastery isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, growth, and coming back to the moment with humility. Keep practicing. Keep noticing. Keep listening, truly listening. Because every interaction is a chance to strengthen your social intelligence muscle. You now have the tools to navigate difficult conversations, lead with empathy, and influence ethically. You can walk into any room and see what most people don't. That's a rare gift, and the more you use it, the more it will transform your life and the lives you touch. Thank you for allowing this book to be part of your journey. Written and published by Mindful Literary.